Kuya P, and I always do this backwards because it's mirrored with the Kuya P on the NRW Nerds Rule the World. And we're actually recording on Wednesday, so that means it is also New Release Wednesday. So go pick up your comic books, guys. But we're here to talk about do a non-spoiler Moon Knight. There will be no spoilers, more so than what you have already seen in the trailers. So if you have not watched a trailer for the Moon Knights, please go and watch the trailers, and then come here. This might help explain a couple things you see. So we're going to talk about Moon Knight. Kuya P, what do you have? What are your questions, concerns?
Oh man, well, we should add that this is to just go along with the amazing coverage that you're going to be dropping on the WordPress because you attended the Moon Knight press conference. Yes. And so we just wanted to add more content because we're hyped, right? we had the pleasure of seeing the first 4 episodes as well. You're rocking the amazing Batman and animated series Moon Knight
Technically
shirt.
A Batman shirt.
It's a Moon Knight shirt.
No, it's Batman. This is a Batman shirt.
The Batman shirt. But yeah, we're just Moon Knight crazy right now. So since we can't talk about what we saw, we just are gonna drop, just more fan stuff for the fans that are wanting this Moon Knight content to just get them primed and ready. And again, we're not gonna do spoilers because we want to show love and have you enjoy it as it bows out each episode. So yeah, strictly on the trailer and strictly on comic stuff, because I'll say it out loud. Again, y'all know I've been a long time comics fan. I've written and published comic books. I still dabble in that. And actually, you know what? I think I might do a little, you heard it here first right now. I will be returning to comics very soon. I actually was just reached out to. I said, yes, I will be writing a comic again very soon. I'm not going to say what yet. I'm going to save that, but you heard it here first. I'm returning to comic books. There you go. Yeah. Although I've been reading and writing and publishing comic books forever, there's not a lot that I know about Moon Knight. I think he's an amazing visual superhero. I love the look of the costume, the origins with Egyptian mythology, being a big mythology person, just that historical element. Just got a great combination there, and as a character of color as well, in its roots. I love that, and so there's so much I love about it, but there's so much I don't know about it because when I've read his appearances, they're only like cameos in Spider-Man or the Avengers or the gamut of the Marvel universe. And the titles that I did eventually read, shout out to like Stephen Platt when he first got on the scene and he got a solo Moon Knight title. They were just kind of like all over the place, and I don't know if the writing was particularly good at the moment. The artwork by Platt was amazing. It was just kind of hard to grasp. And then I also want to give a shout out to Bill Sienkiewicz, who is one of my favorite artists of all time as well. He did some amazing work on there, but it was trippy, man. I swear it was like on 70s LSD because they were probably on that stuff at that time. I don't know. Shout out to Bill. I love you, but he's got a wild, crazy style. And that was just all over the place for me. So Heather, who I love so much, I hope she don't hurt me because it's Heather don't hurt him. I'm hoping she can school me up and give me just amazing tidbits of information to just, I'm intrigued and I need to know more and get that connection from the comic side of things. And also comics that I'm now going to dive back in because as Heather told me, there's a lot of great written titles, because like I said, it was beautifully drawn, but I don't know if I read the best ones that I can get schooled up and enjoy this amazing character that he is.
So just to tag in so one thing you have to think about when it comes to 80s and 90s comics, this character was created in 1975. Yes, Sienkiewicz does have this problem with some color schemes and not problem because his art's always gorgeous. If you're not following him on Twitter, you gotta really, if it wasn't for Bill, we wouldn't have the Moon Knight we have today. Even in his original form, we would not. It's just like you can praise Liefeld all you want. It isn't because of him that we have the Moon Knight we have. You can actually thank Gail Simone for the Deadpool. He has nothing to do with Moon Knight. He has nothing to do with Deadpool other than the pockets. Everything, if for all the fun stuff, you can thank Gail Simone for that.
Yeah, I would say Gail had a big stronghold on the actual existence.
Writing. Yep.
Yeah, the writing of Deadpool. Yeah.
No hate to Fabian. He specifically wrote what he needed. I know we're talking about Deadpool now instead of Moon Knight.
Yeah,
but anyway,
we're just nerds, y'all. It's the nerds coming out of us right now.
But it's a lot of that where it's you always have a great character. You can have a great character concept, and it takes sometimes movement and brainstorming for it to become a great character. And that's really what Moon Knight was. Unfortunately, like many characters in the late 80s, and especially in the 90s. I love you 90s comics. You are the best, but you're also the absolute worst.
Yes.
So
it is true. It is true.
Just calling it. I'm sorry, guys. Your Death of Superman comic is about 30 cents. Stop bringing them to retailers. 30 cents.
But it's still polybagged. We didn't take it out of the poly bag.
Congrats. Neither did anyone else. No one read the comic. They're all in the bag.
Oh man, that's so true. So true.
We're sorry.
FYI, y'all, I just want to put an ad in because I love stories like this, which I'm geeking. Shout out to Heather. She's going to be coming out with her new podcast series on the channel, Behind the Comics Counter.
Tales from Behind the Comic Counter.
Tales, yes. And so I'm hoping we get great stuff like this because it's golden. I love it. Anyway, advertisement over. Back to you, Heather.
Oh, no, it's not. If you want to hear the story about me getting literally hit in the face with a book, follow us there. Anyway, so going back to Moon Knight, because that's what this is about, because that's my favorite, because I love noir characters. I actually made a statement on like January 1. I was like, Batman and not Midnight. Oh my God, I'm talking about Midnight Man already. Batman and Moon Knight are coming out this year, and I'm going to be irritating. I'm going to be the worst. It's my two favorite noir characters are coming. There's just nothing y'all can do about it. Let's really start. You know what? We'll do this. The very first thing, the Batman Moon Knight comparisons are
Yes.
They're funny. They're great. I want to break this bad habit now. Make as many jokes as you want. That's the great thing about comics. Live your best comic book life. Love the characters you want to love, but don't gatekeep through the conception that they are the same. That is for any character. You do not need to compare. You don't. They're both rich white dudes in the comic. Yes. They both have trauma that lead them into a life as vigilantes. One becomes more of a mercenary. He kind of gives up on like all of the shit of like bureaucracy and gives up Moon Knight. And the other one has traumatic familial issues. So they do have similarities, but they are in no way the same. Their traumas are very different. Their stories are very different. One will be very willing to kill. One is very not willing to kill. As Peacemaker said, well, there's a problem there. But make your jokes. Know that there is a difference. Know that it can be seen as rude and disrespectful to the creators when you are comparing them in legitimacy. They are similar, but they are in no way the same. So once again, as I say in every podcast, I never stand on a soapbox.
Number two.
All right. So let's talk about. Yeah, you can't see with it. But
there we go.
There we go. His first appearance.
Hey.
My favorite. It's my baby. So Moon Knight's first appearance was in Werewolf by Midnight, which, by the way, is also coming to Disney Plus. I'm very excited. It's going to be an animated Halloween movie, I believe, in August of 1975, and was created by I'm so bad with names. Dog Munch, I believe, is how you say his last name.
Yeah, I could not get that name right either. I'm with you. Yeah,
and Don Perlin. So he literally, is a mercenary that goes after a werewolf. Because honestly, DC does horror better, but Marvel has all the good characters. And no, here's fun fact number 3: Dracula does not owe Moon Knight $30. He doesn't, or $50 or whatever. It's all a meme.
Dracula does not owe money to Moon Knight.
Nope.
All right, I'm making notes.
Making notes.
So to see how to get our full 10.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's right. It's 10. So,
Why?
okay.
Why is it? What's the money thing? I don't know about this.
So
that
there's
happened in that issue.
No. So there was a great meme. There is a it's a great fanfic. It's a Moon Knight fanfic. I cannot remember what it's called off the top of my head. We'll tag it in the description so that they get full credit. But what they did is they pulled some Moon Knight panels. And they changed the wording, and one went viral, and it still is used regularly today, where Moon Knight is walking down the steps and he goes, where the fuck is that? Where is that fucking nerd Dracula? He owes me money. And the only reason I bring it up is because people were legitimately upset when they found out that these and a handful of other panels were fake. They're completely forged. If you look at them, the lettering is all wrong. But the thing is that when it comes to comics, one of the great things about comics is that you can make it into how you can see it, you can read it, you can love it however you want. That includes making fun memes. And if you see something that gets you into a comic book, that gets you to go to your comic shop, your local comic shop, and pick up a book, then everything is great. Everything is perfect. If it gets you to learn about a character, especially one as niche as Moon Knight,
yeah,
then that is a solid win. Don't be mad. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Great. And
so
just
somebody wrote a killer meme fanfic now that everybody is now all about Dracula owes Moon Knight money. Okay.
People are like legitimately upset that Dracula Dracula may never show up.
Props to whoever created that made it such a thing. Wow.
I know, right? To Marvel and Disney, if you ever want to, Dracula could definitely do a Moon Knight thing. It could definitely happen, even though it's completely out of canon. So just not really a fact, just a tidbit. Be happy about the meme. You got it. Enjoy it. Love it. So going back to Moon Knight, he is a pretty niche character, and he kind of fell out a little bit into the late 70s, and then we get him back, and that's where we get a majority of the character we see today. When I say the late 70s, I mean like he really hit his head in 78. But it's one of the questions. All right, we'll just skip straight to the next point, because that's so much of it is also spoiler, and I want you to read the comics. Read the comics and get spoiled, because so much of it has changed for the show, but get spoiled that way. So I'm going to try and lead you towards it versus telling you.
Number 4. We're on number 4. So learned about Moon Knight.
Kuya, you asked about Khonshu.
Yes,
and the gods.
So that's the god that gave him the powers. So from what I understand, he died. Going back to the comic book origins, people, I don't know. We're going to get that. I will say that with the series, but how it relates with the comic book, we don't know yet. We know the comic book, and we can talk on that. That doesn't give away spoilers. And if it mirrors, I don't know yet. Because we're still learning.
I am going to reduce my statement due to spoilers that it could give away, because one of the things that the show. Yeah, I can't say that. So I can't say
we got to be careful. We can talk on the comic book origins, but
his straight comic book origins are he literally gets tired of the rich and the fancy and goes off, and he joins the CIA, he becomes a Marine, he does all of these things, but it all ends up leading him to a life as a mercenary. And he kind of gets. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you questions before we get to that point? Because again, like I want to know. There's stuff I don't know, like because of the Batman comparisons. Bruce Wayne lost his parents, and that was his start to become Batman. And and we're also trying to separate those comparisons, right? So for Moon Knight, the guy Mark Spectre is the real name, because there's all these other aliases, right? So a real original guy is Mark Spectre, right? And he said he goes off to become a mercenary, but like, is that because he lost his family, he lost a girlfriend? At what age? Was he in high school, college?
He is
because I don't know
adult.
all that.
He's not. So one of the fascinating things about Moon Knight is he can be all and none of that at the same time. So much of him we don't know.
Okay.
So much of him we do.
Okay.
And that's on purpose. It's, it's kind of like, I want to use the example of Joker, where we truly don't know his true origin. And
Oh,
it's
so he's
because,
like that. Okay. Because that's
yes,
what
so
always was weird about him. Like when I would come into stories, it was a different facet, which is also kind of like what we're seeing from the series, going back to the series in the commercials, Dissociative Order, where we know he's Stephen Garrett, this meek version of Oscar Isaac, and then he's Mark Spector, this mercenary. So it's again still along the same. Now I'm even more confused. What the hell's going on? That's why Heather, help me.
so to put it in, he does have a definite beginning. He does have,
Okay.
so it's not like he's not like he doesn't have an origin. I don't want to say it that way. He's a rich little kid, very rich parents. He did not lose them. He just kind of grew tired of that life. Did he have disagreements? Did he not live well? Did he kind of shun the rich lifestyle? Of course he did, but also every rich vigilante needs to be filthy rich, right?
Okay. But his parents are still alive, not dead like Batman's?
No, they're not dead like Batman's.
Okay, good. All right, so there's a difference there.
Yes.
Okay.
There once again, similar, not the same. Both basically where you have the similarities are detective, rich white guy, trauma. That's kind of like the three big points, and then you got like a completely different characters. Right. I mean, it's, if you want to put it very simply, Moon Knight he wears white so that people see him and know it's fear. Batman wears black so he can hide in the shadows. So Moon Knight's like, I ain't afraid to come out and kill you.
Damn, that's hardcore. I didn't even think about it like that. Okay, watch out now. I see you. I literally see you because you want me to see you.
When you know, you ain't coming out of this. So with that, it's he gets betrayed in the desert by a villain known as the Bushman, and we do see that character in recurrence. He finds his way to a temple, and when he kind of gets to a point, he finds himself under a statue of the moon god Khonshu, who gives him powers and abilities. Now, one of the great things, I don't want to talk too much about the Egyptian gods, because so much of the Egyptian gods is just, it is just a play on actual mythos. It's also a lot of white men telling an Egyptian tale. But one of the great things about Khonshu is there is so much of that character where we don't know if it is truly a god or just another part of Mark, another character another alter that lived within him, which is really great. I love that they write like that. Other than the fact that he has, magical powers-ish when he dons the suit. He is strong. He can heal easily. But in reality, he's also just some guy in a white suit who is a vigilante. So
can we say number 5? So we said number 4 is Khonshu, and we touched upon that. Would number 5 be like his power set? So what is his full powers? You said he can heal.
He can heal. He's got super strength and this is all with the suit. He's got super strength. He can heal. But in reality, he's really more of a detective. He's more of a mercenary. It's less about his powers and more about his abilities.
Gotcha.
So in this suit, he might seem like a super, but he himself is a detective. He himself is this vigilante. He's strong. He has the ability, and he doesn't need the costume. It can just help.
Okay. Godlike powers, but rather use his brains. It's more about brains than brawn.
And that's how we can lead to Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight was actually introduced as somewhat of a new persona, as a new alter who is just the detective.
Oh, the tuxedo version of the character. Aha. And that's a recent thing.
He's very recent, 2014.
Okay. And who brought that along? Who's the...
Declan Shelby was the artist. I am going to withhold the writer's name for reasons.
Okay, gotcha.
But you can check out all of Declan Shelby. He did like 5 something like that, 4 years run as at least of covers. If not, his run on Moon Knight is absolutely wonderful. Awesome. I love Declan Shelby as a human being. So awesome. He's also married to Jodie Belair, who is one of the best colorists in comics. Okay. I actually have my cat is colored on. She colored my cat into a comic. So
that's super dope. I love it. All right. So Mr. Knight, yeah, very interesting. I know when that was announced and we saw that pop in, yeah, you see it. This one. The internet went crazy. We can't say more, but it's a very cool intro, y'all, when you watch it finally when it bows out. But so Mr. Knight, let's make that number 6.
Okay.
So introduce Declan Shelby. We're not going to talk about the writer who might probably an a-hole. I'll say it.
You can if you want to know about the writer to that, you can Google it.
There you go. But so this Mr. Knight introduction they focused on the detective element.
Mm-hmm. As it were. He was the detective. You also find out through one of the great things that you find out with characters like Mr. Knight is that just like every good vigilante, just like every good mercenary, he's got Mark Spectre has hideaways, has money stashes, gun stashes everywhere. So when it comes down to the books, the animation that he's in, because he is an Amazing Spider-Man, I believe, make sure you're paying attention to the little things, because trust me, the little things are very, very, very important. Very, very important.
All right. I got a question for you because, and we can talk on this. There was let me get the actor's name right. Gaspard Ullick, unfortunately passed away, plays Anton Mogart, if I'm pronouncing that name right, which is also known as the Midnight Man in the comic book as well. I don't know too much about it, but what we do know is, again, unfortunately, that the man passed away. So I'm curious how that's going to play out the rest of the season, and if they do subsequent seasons. What can you tell me about Midnight Man that this Anton gentleman was supposed to play, and now unfortunately may now be recast, if that is going to still be in their plans? I'm curious about Midnight Man, because I would assume that would be a very serviceable adversary to a guy named Moon Knight. What do you know about that relationship?
So Midnight Man actually gets his name because he is a criminal.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to allude to something earlier. Creepy and I were on the phone, and I'm like, and I didn't want to tell him yet, because in reality, the great thing about the really interesting thing about Moon Knight villains and his rogues gallery is that each one has their own mental illness, has their own trauma, has their own this, has their own that. Oh, wow. And they have a litany of characters like that. And Midnight Man is one where he got that name as he steals jewels and paintings, and so but he always strikes at midnight. And after his first interaction with Moon Knight, he kind of goes through this traumatic kind of awakening of criminality that all ends with him dying of cancer. So but where he sees himself as a criminal, he actually gives his secrets to his son, who then I'm trying to turn this into a cute little thing, because I also feel so bad. The actor did die. It's R.I.P. But it's one of those where he gives his powers, his secrets away to his son, who he doesn't want to become a villain. So it's like, you see these huge and beautiful circles, and Midnight Man is a perfect example of like a character who has things in his way, and he doesn't want to see it progressed. And it's interesting. Definitely interesting to see how they're going to put that into the show.
Okay. Well, since we're on Midnight Man, if we can make that our number 7, can we talk about Moon Knight's villains rogues gallery? I guess leading off with Arthur Harrow, who we know played by Ethan Hawke in the series.
So Arthur Harrow is actually very interesting. I did not know who he was until I went back, and I did what most people do. I Googled him because I was just like, I do not remember this character at all. He is literally in one comic book. That's it. He's in one comic book. He has one appearance. And, or at least he did. He did. He was a geneticist. And he did what he followed kind of that classic Marvel story arc where he was messing around with Nazi experiments, and he was trying to go forward. But he was a character in pain. He had a facial not mutation, deformation.
Yeah.
And so he was in chronic pain every day. So he was actually working on pain management experiments. But of course, because we don't do things on animals, that's just wrong. He did it on humans.
Oh, wow.
And when a confluence of events happen and Moon Knight finds himself face to face with this character, and when he's trying to fight his goons have been experimented on so much that they have no pain. Almost, they don't feel getting punched. And Moon Knight's like, okay, well, I can't win against guys who literally can't feel me stab them, so I'm going to run away. And Harrow gets away, but he's not really seen much after that. So,
all right.
So
he's in this series, and we're gonna learn even more of him. So that returns me again, I guess, to I'm curious again. His rogues gallery. He's had his own series. For me, I've only seen him in cameo appearances. Do you know? Can you tell us about some of his people he's faced, and maybe people you'd like to see him face eventually if we get a season 2? Just any famous tales and villains that he's faced in his time.
So sorry, I lost my screen for a second.
No worries.
So he's really done a little bit of everyone, just like everyone in Marvel, because he has been an Avenger twice, technically 3 times. And he has seen his fair share of goods and evils.
Does he have an arch villain? Like Joker to Batman? Like, does he have like a main
No. I'm trying to think of it's really, well, I guess you could say it's the Bushman, because it's your arch enemy is always going to be the one that kills you.
Would make sense.
So I can say that he's gone up against the Triad.
Did Bushman face against Wolverine? Because Bushman sounds familiar to me. Like I've seen him in a Punisher comic and or a Wolverine comic.
He is not limited to just he is a mercenary for hire
as well.
And he is not limited to just he's the Bushman bad kind of mercenary. So
okay.
But Moon Knight's gone against the Triad. He's done everything. And if you haven't read it yet, the Bendis run with him as all of the Avengers is probably one of the most entertaining runs that you'll ever read. If you ever ask me who my favorite Marvel Avengers team is, it's Moon Knight. Moon Knight is my favorite Avengers team. And it's actually a really great run on his mental stability. So he's fought against werewolves, and he's gone against he's hooked up with Spider-Man a few times and supported him.
Yeah. I have a feeling that because we know he's not afraid to kill, that the reason why he doesn't have a rogues gallery is they don't stay alive. They get killed. They're taken out of the picture. They're not going to keep going on.
He's I would say he's more like Punisher, where all the little guys get killed. Yeah. When you're a little guy, you're gonna die against Moon Knight. So
all right. So there you go. Okay.
I'm gonna be political in that one.
All right, number
Read
8.
Books.
3 more to go. What is the 8th thing you would say we've learned about Moon Knight or should know as well?
Okay. So I know a lot of people are going to ask about Layla El-Fuli, who is played by, I'm gonna totally mess up her name, May Calame.
Yes.
May Calame. She is, so if you're going to look for her in comics, you're not going to find her. I'm not going to give you too much on the character's background because it's going to give a lot away. But she's kind of this mix of she's kind of a mix of his relationship with Lila DeCristio, who is a daughter of a Triad member, and Marlene Alron, who I am not going to tell you anything about because literally a huge spoiler. So I'm going to say nothing on her background. You can look her up if you want. But if you go and look for Layla, you will not find anything. 0 things. Just trying to think of what other fun things I can tell you about that I read the comics. Read the comics. I guess it's so he's if you want to talk about it, who he's got three primary primary alters, but he has been Wolverine, and he is Spider-Man, and he is also Captain America. So if you want his full list of alters, that is his list.
So number 9 will be MK alter egos.
Alters, not alter egos.
Altered egos.
Alters.
Okay.
So when you were talking about DID, you were talking about alters. So who is your alternates? So be careful when you not you, of course, I know, but it's when you're talking about DID, please be respectful. An alternate is another person who is within you, and you often don't know anything that they have done, anything that if you haven't watched it yet, a really good example is it's from Starz. You can watch it on Hulu. The United States of Terra. It's an amazing series. It actually talks about you actually see who she becomes. She actually becomes a man, and who has a very serious relationship. Yeah. So you DID is very real. It is very rare. It's also kind of this interesting reason to bring up Moonlight in the MCU altogether. Not only is he niche overall, but he's also kind of hard to explain. Like, one of the best examples of DID is freaking Split from M. Night Shyamalan. And I won't get onto that. I promise. I won't. But so you have to be very careful. And one of the and actually, I'll talk a little bit about the conference, the press conference. One of Ethan Hawke's great statements was that unlike normal, where you see the villain has the mental illness he has the trauma that leads to some horrific thing that makes him the villain. In this case, it's Moon Knight's Rogues Gallery many of them do have trauma. They have seen a past, but it's truly Moon Knight. And so much of it, there are times where you don't know if what you're seeing is in his head or if it's actually happening.
Yeah.
There's entire comics like that. And
which is why it's always been so difficult for me reading them.
There have definitely been better renditions of it. Basically after everything after 2000, you get a more respectful version of the character. 2, you can actually hardly find some of his older content. Not such a bad thing. And you just get a better feeling of the character. But going back to what Hawk said, it was one of those where in this case, you have a character who he was, I guess I didn't mention this before. One of the questions often is when did Mark Spectre get diagnosed with DID? Was it because of Khonshu? And the answer is no. He was actually diagnosed with DID very young. So that's why often the character of Khonshu is questioned. Is he truly the god? Is it truly a god is helping you do all these things, or is it all in your head? That's where that concept came from. He has experienced the trauma. He has gone through this for a long time. So that's one of the interesting things about Moon Knight versus his Rogues Gallery. He is the one with trauma, and it is front and center. So,
yeah. You know what? We'll make that the number 10, DID. There's your 10. This has been very interesting. Very interesting. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I have, or if there's anything we want to point out. But what I will say is, Heather, again, will be dropping her full press conference coverage, which will have some more tidbits. So check that out on the New Release Wednesday WordPress. So to recap, if you don't mind, Batman, Moon Knight, those comparisons, we kind of explained that a little bit. First appearance was in Werewolf by Night. Go check that out for all you collectors out there if you can find it. Is it a very pricey issue for those collectors out there?
It's pricey right now.
I'm sure, and it's going to only skyrocket as the series comes out there. Right?
To explain, I got this from a friend. And when he initially quoted it to me 3 years ago, it was 250, and when he sold it to me at friends prices, he sold it to me for 600. And this is a very good, very, very pretty one. So the fact that he sold me it, the other one, which is actually a better copy that he was selling, was going for 13. So if you can wait a little bit, wait. It's not necessarily a rare comic. One
Are you
thing
gonna get that CG seed? Like all of that is that one of your
I could get this one CG
investment
CG
pieces
if I was willing to let it go.
Yeah, that's my thing too, right?
My opinion is the things I get CG seed are the ones that I wanted to sleep with me at night. So like my Batman in 52, that one I signed by Scott Snyder. I sleep with it at night. That's why I get things CG seed. I don't care about the collector value. I love my stuff. Love your comics. They're for reading and enjoying. Do not get them.
Yeah, let's emphasize that. Yeah, I see like we're talking CG seed and I'm all about cracking them open. I have multiple copies. I have digital copies of stuff that I know I'm going to read repetitively. But yeah, there's some I'm actually going to still liquidate, just get other people can enjoy it. But for those collectors out there, because we do have those audience, Werewolf by Night number 10?
32.
32. All right, there's your first appearance. Third thing I learned is Dracula does not owe the money to Moon Knight. That was a meme, people. They redid some word bubbles, and there we go. Khonshu for number 4. We don't want to dig too much into the Egyptian gods. We want you to go read the comic books again because we don't want to spoil. So just learn more about Khonshu if you really, really want to know. Number 5, his power sets. I now know a lot more that he has healing powers, super strength, but his most important power is his mind. He's a detective, which leads into number 6. Learned a lot more about Mr. Knight, which is him and his true detective element. And it's a recent creation in 2014, right?
Yeah.
All right. And shout out to Declan Shelby, who was on the art chores. We're going to give him some love because he's amazing. Number 7, Midnight Man. I was very intrigued about because unfortunately the actor Gaspard Ulliel, who played him, passed away recently. Rest in peace to him. But curious about that particular character and the rest of his rogues gallery, which we touched upon. And the biggest thing I learned out of talking about that is he really doesn't have a rogues gallery because he kills people. So that's why there's not so many people still walking this earth. So there you go. Number 8, May Kalamawai as Layla El Fowley, the love interest, if you will. I'm not going to go into that too much. We kind of touched upon her character. If you want to know more, again, read more, but we don't want to give you spoilers. There's a whole thing there in combination, right? You mentioned somebody else. Was it just
her character is based, if you want the loose base, and I'm only giving you the name, Marlene Arlan is who she is mostly based off of. We will not give you anything else because
that's all we're saying. That's all we're saying, because we're not going to get in trouble with Disney. Number 9, the plethora of altered egos. Again, this is a character that has a lot of alternates. I'm trying to use the proper words here, but he's been Mark Spectre, Steve Garrett, Wolverine, Captain America, right? Just there's all these different facets, which just makes the character so fascinating and covered recently in better comics than I read in the 90s. So I'm going to check those out. Thanks to Heather. And that leads us in number 10, DID, dissociative identity disorder.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Those are 10 very important things you should know about Moon Knight. Thank you, Heather. Heather, again, you're going to give us an amazing article. Any other notes or anecdotes before we sign off?
Okay, so one extra fun fact, and I did not know this, and we have seen it. This is not a spoiler. This is just something that I did not know. I did not know Oscar Isaac's brother, Mike Hernandez, played his mirror image. So when you're watching the show, it's not, once again, not a spoiler. You see him in the trailer, but that is actually his brother.
What?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Hold up. He has first off, you said is a twin brother?
No, it's his brother. I think he's his younger,
but he looks similar
brother
to him. So that's shut the front door.
I did not know. So it's a sneak peek from the conference. I'll have the full list. There'll be it's not as long as many Marvel.
That's super cool.
Press conference. Yeah, right. So it's a fun tidbit. Everyone was kind of blown away at the press conference. Like, really?
I got to tell that to my wife now. Like when whoa. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good way to close this out. Heather, don't hurt him. Hurt me at the end. Like boom. Like I have a new set of eyes when I watch it again. What? I love it. Okay. And now I got feelings though, like, because everybody's gonna be like, oh, well, we already know Oscar Isaac is amazing. Oscar Isaac can get it. Now that we know that the mirror image is his brother. Oh, well, Oscar Isaac's brother can get it now too. I feel it now. So there we go. I love it, Heather. Thank you so much for that information. I know people are going to want to reach out to you. And so as we close it out, always let's hit them up with the social. So any Moon Knight stuff, they want to hit you up and ask you some stuff that we can talk about, people. But because she's not going to, we're not messing up our relationships with Disney and Marvel. Okay. But if you want some comic book recommendations as a retailer knowledge, how can they reach out to you, Heather?
I actually have a full list. Once again, the reason I didn't want to give you too much information here is because as a retailer, as anyone who's ever worked in comics, the most important thing you can do is support comic shops, and that directly supports comic creators. So I actually have a full list of books you can read. So learn about his actual rogues gallery and who he's actually fought through my list on the tweeters at Nerd is a Heather. It's actually pinned to the very top. And it does list if there is a book that is not available in stores. So if you can only buy it online, it's right there. So that's at Nerd is a Heather. And then I am on Instagram at Heather is a Nerd, and on TikTok at Heather is a Nerd.
There you go. Hit her up. Give her all the love. Give her all the follows. Make sure you check out her new release Wednesday content, because that's when new comic books drop, and just get all that amazing information. I love it. This was so much fun, Heather. For me, it's the Legend Kuya P on Twitter, TikTok, and IG. Of course, Show Pal Show. And here with Heather and the whole squad at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world until the next Moon Night. Is that a good ender? I don't know. I tried. Right here. That was fun.
So we